Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So today we have the 1/72nd scale Churchill Crocodile tank. So the Churchill Crocodile was a modification on the Churchill Mark 7 tank. So the Churchill was first produced in 1941 and it had good armour but didn't have brilliant speed, and it had 12.5 miles per hour. It had decent firepower, but it did have good cross-country performance. So we're using the Dieppe landings and later at El Alamein, and they were effective in Tunisia against the with the First Army. So the development had the Mark 7, which had increased frontal armour of up to 6 inches and had a redesigned welded hull. The Mark 7 also weighed 40 tons. And yeah, as I said, it had 12.5 miles per hour as top speed. But this, as you can see, is not a standard Mark 7 Churchill. This is actually the Churchill Crocodile tank. So the Churchill Crocodile tank is a standard Churchill, but with, as you can see, a very obvious trailer on the back, which is towed by it's just towed by the tank along. So this tank is actually a flamethrower tank. Now, flamethrowers were used against buildings and bunkers, but they weren't liked by either side. They were thought as inhumane compared to normal weapons. So, in fact, when these crews had tanks which were, which were fairly beaten up, and they were about to be captured, they would actually try and hide the fact that they were a flamethrower tank, because sometimes they would be treated very badly by the the enemy, because they were thought to be, not fighting fairly. So yeah, the trailer has a two jointed connection. So as you can see, it can go up and down and do all that. Basically, essentially what a tank can do, or at least just you can follow the tank basically anywhere. It also has these two rods, which I'll bring up. They have these two rods on the side which can be removed and put in these bits here to move the trailer around when it's not attached to the tank. And yeah, it's just these two large rubber tyres that it sits on. On the back, it actually has a door which you can't see very well, but it has a door, and essentially that goes that opens up into the propellant and the actual fuel, which is not the same as, but it does essentially the same as napalm. So it sticks to everything that it burns. It sticks to pretty much everything, and it basically sticks and burns. Another thing is, it also has this little thing here on top, which is actually, they can attach it to the trailer so it can be towed by something, by an AEC Matador, or just a regular gun tractor, something like that. So the flamethrower on the Churchill Crocodile is from the Wasp, which is, I think it's the Bren gun carrier. I'm not entirely sure. I believe it's the Bren gun carrier. They took it off, but yeah. So it's just the Wasp, and then got all the markings on, as well as some of this armour up here, which is just track, which I didn't use. I basically cut the track here and here, and I glued it in onto the turret. The turret can be removed as well, just to see what the let's get close up with the turret. Also, I think the gun can still move to different positions. So yeah, it's quite good. But also, something that's not included with the model, I made this thing to go on the front. Let's see if I actually fit it on. So it's this flame that sits on the it starts into the front of the flamethrower, and so it's not to scale, it's not realistic, but I think that if it's on the diorama, it's better than nothing. It looks at least it's a flamethrower instead of a standard Churchill. Another thing about this kit is it's one of the earlier models of the tank. So instead of having the horrible rubber, which we do now with the tanks, with Airfix tanks, it was actually this sort of much more bendy plastic. So it wasn't quite rubber, but it also wasn't as strong as the regular plastic. It wasn't strong as regular plastic. That's because it's one of the earlier tanks. So yeah, this is the. It's not the earliest. I think it might. it's quite early. Let's get rid of this. Yeah, so it's an earlier box. I'm not sure from what from how old it is, but it's earlier than the ones we have now. Yeah, it's in the grey, and the flying hours you can see is a lot different to the ones we have now. If I can find, no, I can't find any flying hours right now. So yeah, if you look at that, flying hours is the old style ones. So yeah, another thing about the Churchill is, as I've said in my other Churchill video, if you watch that, has this really strange suspension. Unlike say a Cromwell tank, it has a Cromwell tank is Christie suspension. It has 6 wheels. I'm not entirely sure, but it basically has 6 large wheels instead of all these little tiny ones. Which and they're not even rubber lined; they're just metal. So it didn't mean it squeaked a lot when it went along. So yeah, it's quite interesting. So yeah, also one other thing, final thing is that if you look on the bottom of the tank, this is actually the pipeline which goes from the trailer all the way down underneath to the gunner position. All they did was on the Crocodile was essentially replace the whole machine gun with this, with the flamethrower essentially. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in another one. Thank you. Bye.